Now, I'm going to be a little bit meaner than them, so please don't violate my rights. Normally, I wouldn't come to a city council meeting. I'm one of the county's pains in the ass. Historically, I stay out of the city, and the city stays out of my business. It was a pretty decent arrangement. But then y'all sent me one of these tickets from one of your AI red light cameras you have deemed as necessary infrastructure in your city. Thing about this is I was in Seminole, Alabama at the time I allegedly ran this red light downtown. How can I be in two places at once, you ask? Don't worry, I asked myself that too. Outside of Scotty beaming me up 30 miles in an instant, the only logical conclusion is I wasn't there. These things have been deemed unconstitutional for this reason, because the enforcement action of 316.0083 unduly shifts the burden of proof to the vehicle owner, me, to prove my innocence rather than the state having to prove my guilt. Currently, I'm guilty by default. I've been convicted by a computer program. Usually this whole mess of who committed the infraction is settled by a police officer pulling somebody over and actually witnessing them in the driver's seat. The AI camera doesn't do any driver verification whatsoever. To get your constitutionally mandated due process, you have to jump through hoops put up by Automated Enforcement Division, a private company in Orlando that's owned by another corporation called Novoa Global, which is owned by a Chilean-Swedish millionaire named Carlos Hofstedt. So not only does this process flow through a private company, our DMV records and personal registration information are accessible by a foreign actor. But anyway, AED sends you this paper, and if you want to fight this thing because you are wrongfully accused, me again, you can't just request a hearing through PPD or the courthouse. Remember, Carlos is involved, so if you have to go through his company, his website, print off his paper, fill it out with enough information to take out a home loan, have it notarized, mail it to the foreign actor, Carlos in Orlando, and then wait for something from someone to tell you about a hearing. This is undue burden even to begin to try to get some kind of due process. Paying is super easy though, go figure. And about that, you can't pay cash. PPD doesn't accept it, and neither does Carlos. According to 31 USC 5103, all U.S. currency and coins must be accepted for all government obligations, fines, fees, taxes, and due. So not only does this whole thing violate constitutional due process, it violates federal law by not accepting U.S. currency to satisfy a government action. Whoever thought this was a good idea is a self-loathing, America-hating, bureaucratic hobgoblin whose pockets probably got stacked with Carlos bucks. You got my attention, though. I'm going to become a more frequent voice down here working to expose frauds and petty tyrants. Congratulations, you all got yourselves a new pain in the ass.
So this is important because not only is this representing how... So the money we get paid isn't even money. It's fiat currency. It has no actual value. We're getting paid in mining co dollars. It's like you work for me and I own Acme Mining Co. and I pay you in mining co bucks, which are only good at the mining co store. So, but then not only that, but now they're not accepting mining co dollars. Now you have to pay credit card, and it's super easy to pay credit card, but it's very, very difficult to actually get your rights enforced. So it's like Kafka's the trial, where you're just always on trial and you never really know what for, and you can't ever face your accuser, and you can't ever escape the bureaucratic process because the bureaucratic process was not designed for you to escape. It was designed to take your money. And at this point, given the fact that there's so much information available on us that's accessible to foreign actors, it would actually be very profitable to start a business simply hacking into these companies, stealing the information and using that information to apply for home loans, apply for credit card loans, and engage in other kinds of fraud. Because as we've seen, the system is not being set up for the common man, which is the only point of this system, because a powerful person doesn't need a system, doesn't need a government in order to oppress weaker people. Weaker people need a government in order to have the ability to live their lives in such a way that they have the chance to ever stand up to powerful people who are oppressing them. But now the powerful people, Carlos, are using government to force common people into a bureaucratic system that robs them of the ability to stand up for themselves while enriching him, all while we're being paid in mining co dollars that are losing their value, so that we're not even able to vote with our money anymore, because now it's not money, it's currency, and the way you generate it isn't by working, it's by getting loans from banks. Because now with loans from banks, you're able to leverage fractional reserve banking, which is currently the only basis for our currency. But not only is all that a problem, now they're just literally stalking you, and they'll send you tickets for things you didn't do, and good luck proving your own innocence because there isn't a Bill of Rights anymore. There's just flock cameras, and holy cow, the totalitarian nightmare that is coming. Y'all better gear up.